with his life. So she stepped on his feet a lot, literally.
So I know you said that you were excited for Starfinder Second Edition, and we got to see a little bit of the potential crossplay in that Trouble in Otari game. What are you most excited for with Starfinder 2?
Oh man, I mean, for starters, just how they will format the Starfinder classes with the 2E rule frame set. Like Envoy kind of I feel like when they were making Starfinder 1A, it's like a noticeable evolution from Pathfinder 1E, Starfinder, and then Starfinder 2E. Some like class concepts and what they're about, they just became normal standard features to 2E. Like the Envoy, its entire like expertise feature that just basically became the framework for skill feats for all 2E classes can take to further build upon what they do. So it's fun to see like them become like their own thing and becoming similar to rogues and investigators for Pathfinder, but just seeing what they'll do with like Solarian, which are kind of like kind of paladins, kind of Jedi Knights in a sense. I'm curious what they'll be doing with those, as well as again the evolution of the lore within like the Starfinder universe, and the hints of Shellen and Zonkuthan becoming like one entity.
What's your favorite bit of lore from that happened between Pathfinder First Edition and Second Edition?
I
The,
think.
I was going to say this question is completely for Mike because beyond my limited time with society play, yeah.
I mean, the it hitting me like how much like Last Wall just becoming outright like obliterated at the start of 2E and becoming the Gravelands was definitely up there. Um of more obscure stuff and flipping through like the Mwangi Expanse Lost Omens book, and the Lost Omens books are all really great, and it's interesting them taking the time of just really fleshing out every single like region of the world. With the Mwangi Expanse, like there's one ethnicity of orc that is the Matangi orcs, and shortly after Earthfall, 10,000 years prior to like the current age, they were obviously after Earthfall and orcs kind of like emerged from like their subterranean roots, and the entire world is engulfed in darkness. They kind of had an innate advantage strategically, but when their influence waned, there was a contingent of orcs that expanded as far south as the Mwangi Expanse that gotten isolated, and they had to kind of like fend for themselves, and they were also like nearby demon worshipping Charuka and other things, and watching like their own brethren like transform into those monkeys. By necessity, they kind of had to look for others for help, and they kind of like developed their own culture of just becoming dedicated demon slayers, that when you fast forward to the current age, whereas further north there's the stigma of, that stereotypical of orcs being evil and everything, in the Mwangi Expanse, it's the exact opposite. They're anybody in the presence of an orc, they're a protective presence, and yeah.
I mean, you end up with a similar. I was just looking in there about Tien, and dragons are like highly regarded.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jim, welcome to the live. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us today.
So, one question that I think would be good for our viewers is, do you have any advice on somebody who was interested in playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition?
Sorry, what?
Do you have any advice for anybody who was interested in learning to play Pathfinder 2nd Edition? As far as the best way to go about it?
I suppose just give it time to appreciate like the 3-turn economy, expanding your perspectives of what you can do in a combat round. Rather than just attacking, you can use skills in combat like intimidate, athletics to trip, intimidate to actually cause the frightened condition. A lot of like skill feats will further expand those, and there's a lot of things that you can do in a as options in your 3-action economy, even if you're not a spellcaster.
I feel like one that people underutilize is feint, unless they're not good at deception. But it's a way of gaining off guard without needing to flank.
Yeah.
And with the plus 10, minus 10 crit system, lowering their armor class by 2 is going to be a better chance to hit or crit.
And it makes support spells and piling like all of those strategic advantages all the more worthwhile. So like if they're off guard and they're frightened, those both will lower a person's AC and make it all the more likely for you to land a critical hit, because you only need to succeed it by a margin of 10.
Right. So if you demoralize an enemy to make them frightened, and even if you only get them frightened 1, and then you succeed on a feint, then their AC is down by 3. So you only, that's a much better chance of getting that hit or a crit. Yeah. As far as resources, player core would be the best option at this point. Possibly the beginner box. What about for somebody who was aspiring to GM? Let's take that from two angles. Let's say there's a player who uh, is aspiring to GM, so they've played Pathfinder Second Edition for a while, and they want to GM. What advice would you give them as far as getting started GMing?
If they're new and unfamiliar and they aren't given the opportunity to be a player at another person that has the experience. What previously was the game mastery guide, the GM core definitely lays out a lot of uh, ways and mindsets of you GMing things. And then kind of flipping through some of like the stat blocks for things, whether you'd find it in archives and Ethos or Monster Core, but like looking and having a feel of like what build that they do special, because they too can utilize and do special things within the three action economy that might like bend the rules in certain ways.
One thing that I've seen is understanding the monsters is very important, because the monsters in Pathfinder have very dynamic abilities. They're not just like a sack of hit points that just like punch. The zombies,
Complex hazards, definitely.
and even zombies, they want to end their turn adjacent to an enemy so that they can attack them and then grapple them. But they need to, because they only have two actions, they need to do that, like end their turn next to an enemy. So what about so this would be somebody that has played Pathfinder. Let's say you have a group, somebody is really interested in sharing Pathfinder with their play group. They purchased the beginner box, or they purchased the requisite books, player core, GM core, monster core, and they want to, like, one of them has to GM, but nobody's ever played or GM. Like, any advice for the person in that scenario?
I would start with well, the beginner box already kind of gives you everything that you need, and has it's such a great for both players and GMs, and what it covers. And then it also has if people want a continuation of it, there's the Troubles in Otari that directly is a follow-up to the stuff that you would run in there. And it's a perfect follow-up to where you'll get a feel of the formatting of what an adventure will have, skill challenges for social events, as well as what you would expect downtime or
Yeah, highly recommend the beginner box.
If they're completely new, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then buying Troubles in Otari as a follow-up.
Yeah, it was a fun module. I know I said that I didn't really want to talk about other games, but I think it's a testament to how good the beginner box is and how well done Paizo did with it, that when I converted it to DC-20, it actually did a good job teaching DC-20 also, because the skill challenges, like, it did a good job teaching another system. So Paizo knocked it out of the box, I think, with the beginner box.
Other than that, the only other recommendation I would give is if you're like really looking to know like the lore and to get like the most out of like maybe the experience for the players is if you intend to run an adventure path, um buy like the Lost Omens books that are closely tied to it. For instance, like Strength of Thousands is set in the Mangambia in Nantambu within the Mwangi Expanse. Buying the Lost Omens Mwangi Expanse will give you a ton of additional context and setting and backdrop.
Any other questions?
No other questions. The only thing that I had left from kind of us talking about what we wanted to talk about today was what's
There
your
were so many things that we never even got to.
yeah, the only but we're looking to probably wrap it up, but what is the most used spell, and what is the most overused spell that you've seen at your tables?
That well, again, since Pathfinder really makes like support viable, I'll break it down into like utility slash support as well as like damaging. Because cantrips are so much more viable as they were in like Pathfinder 1E and Starfinder. I would say one of the most useful and overused is probably Electric Arc when it comes to a damaging spell, because you're targeting two creatures at once with very competitive damage. As far as like utility spells, there's a ton of them that are, I mean, like light and guidance definitely comes to mind as the cantrips, but
Detect
like
magic,
detect magic, yeah.
shield.
Mm-hmm.
Detect magic is a cantrip.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I think 5e players would find that
Yeah, in 5e it's a ritual, so if you're a ritual caster, you can take 10 minutes and cast it for free, but otherwise it's first level spell lasts for 10 minutes. It does give you more information off the bat, but as Detect Magic heightens in second edition, it does give you more information.
lower end spells that are frequently used. Some of the basics are the most powerful. I mean, even something like heal, 2 actions, 1d8 plus 8.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times that will just fully restore somebody.
Speaking of heal, I definitely recommend checking out the video that I did on heal and cure wounds. It was interesting, so maybe Ali will throw that in the description or the comments.
Spells that give you a greater range of senses seem to be underutilized, but they are just as important when as you grow in level, like revealing light or see the unseen when you have like naturally invisible enemies.
How much homebrew / house rules do you use in your Pathfinder 2e games?
That
Uh,
is a very different
I
question, I think.
that is as as of thus far, I really haven't homebrewed anything yet.
I love homebrewing. I will admit that when I first homebrewed second edition, that I was in the deep end of the pool trying to keep my head above water because I didn't fully understand like the intricacies of the system. It did take me a while to become comfortable enough to homebrew items, but I think that I did okay. And even then, Mike asked me like what traits and properties because um, in the system that I usually run, which is 5e, I don't have to think about traits in that usually. So there are more intricacies that uh, I just I still flounder with. But I made like Mike an interesting laser gun, I think, because he likes
Yeah.
to not always kill his targets. He likes to stun them. So it's a gun that can deal either non-lethal or lethal damage, and it has charges. But he can, as an investigator, roll ahead of time and see if he thinks he'll crit, and then crank up the extra damage.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, yeah, because I mean, he's an investigator, so there might be situations where he might need to further question someone, or uh, the situation doesn't require just to murder somebody outright as the the reason for the conflict to happen in the first place.
mm,
Um. And while it's harder to do non-lethal by placing like a -2, I mean, there's certain like abilities that make the penalty non-existent, or with monks, I mean, they can just simply choose with, their unarmed attacks. Uh But for spellcasters, if you're looking to uh, take out somebody without killing them, Dazed is a surprisingly underutilized spell in
mm.
that regard.
I think like, and this is like when I say I love homebrewing, like I actually was working on subclasses for DC 20, and that there aren't any official subclasses yet, so I have no real guidance. And I've enjoyed taking 5e subclasses and turning them into features that would work within that system. In 5e, I enjoy homebrewing magic items and all kinds of things. In fact, in the campaign that I'm running currently, the players have a standard bearer banner to Xanathar, and well, Xanathar's not very happy with them currently because they have it shoved in a bag, and Xanathar wants to see through the banner what they're up to. But it's pretty cool. I think it does like beholder eye raise through it a couple times per day, but then it has final say over whether or not, so like it couldn't be used against Xanathar himself. Obviously he would have a safeguard in there. um and yeah, I, as far as like homebrewing back to Pathfinder, I think like I'm comfortable now with items. I feel like I could homebrew spells, but I would pretty much, if anybody wanted to homebrew, I think the best way to start is take what's already there and reskin it, or just tweak it a little bit. I think one of the things that I've learned, and it's largely from talking with you, Mike, is that the system is extremely balanced. And when you start mucking with stuff a lot, Like, you can throw that balance off real quick. So it's better to either reskin, reflavor, like, you know, one of the things that I tried to do for Ivy was to reflavor like Fireball and make it deal poison damage. And
Mm-hmm.
that would be perfectly balanced in the system. You're just changing the damage type, but instead of being a blast of fire, it's a an area full of poison. So I would start small with things like that. Uh, yes. Um, how many people are currently watching?
Two on YouTube.
Okay.
Jim and Jason
Jim and Jason.
on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, we just hit 200 subscribers, so thank you guys very much for that. That's almost halfway to the 500. That's like the first big milestone, and of course, a fifth of the way to the 1,000. That is the second milestone. So thank you guys for your support on that end. We're looking to get together with Geeked Out to continue the DC-20 conversion of the Pathfinder beginner box. So look for that in the future. We usually do that on Mondays.
Jason says it sounds like Pathfinder Second Edition doesn't really need any homebrew, and one of the things that I think I'm right with this, but Mike will correct me, is to earn the glyphs with Pathfinder, you have to run the modules sort of as written or mostly as written.
Oh, yeah, pretty much running it as written for the scenarios. That would be where you would get most of your table credits because it's revolved around that for society play. The modules and adventure paths credit, it's more of an auxiliary thing where you're getting credit for doing like other things to where you're not really, I mean, the amount of time it would take to run a module or adventure path would be much longer than running 3 scenarios, but you're still kind of getting like credit towards it.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean that's where like allowing the Starfinder 2e test play was fine as an adventure path. And I was able to make Trouble in Otari a little bit of my own and still have everybody
Oh, right. When you run scenarios, you do have to run them as written and using scenario rolls. For adventure paths and modules, you're given like wiggle room to where, you can play with different like rule sets, like free archetype, or you can do like house rules and that sort of stuff, and then at the end of like every single checkpoint, like a volume of an AP, you would apply credit to an actual society character and not the actual character that you're playing for the AP. Though for like my Age of Ashes character, I just kind of made them more the same, but they're still 2 separate entities.
yeah. I had another thought on the topic of like spells, and I think that 2 spells that say a new player might not realize are very good is Runic Weapon and True Strike.
Mm-hmm.
Runic weapon, allowing your weapons to be more powerful than they would normally be, and unlike the older version, it actually heightens, so it gets better the higher the slot you cast it in. And True Strike, I would just say anybody coming from 5th edition will think that True Strike is terrible because it is in 5th edition. But in Pathfinder, there's not a lot of ways to gain advantage. So being able to roll 2d20 and take the highest, and also I can't
It's a
undersell.
one action spell and allows you to roll twice and get the best. And it also is kind of a bread and butter spell if you're wanting to play a more martial oriented caster,
And I can't
like a warrior bard.
undersell the fact that it also ignores like concealed and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to worry about rolling that flat checked in order to hit. So very good spell.
I just want to say that you have somebody that is listening to you guys while driving currently.
Oh,
So he's apologizing for not
no.
texting and driving. So, let's not do that. Let's be safe, Jim. Thanks so much.
Yeah, and yeah. So we only have 2 people though currently watching, listening.
Yes.
Okay. So I think that we should do another giveaway or something at some point. I don't know if now is that time, or if we should do something next week. Just because there's only 2 people currently.
Schedule for next week. Let's do it.
Yeah. The other thing that I
All right. I'm making the executive decision. We're scheduling it for next week, but Jason and Jim both get an automatic include into the giveaway.
Yeah, that is one possible option. Can you just mute the mics for a sec, like all of them, so that we can? Yeah, just real quick. Okay, so I'm gonna make the executive, and we can also do a giveaway next week for a free thing. We need to look into Nightbot, I think, is how Dungeon Coach does his thing. People put something in the comments, and Nightbot catches it, and then picks one of them as a winner. But since we only have 2 people currently watching, I think both of you, if you join one of our games on Start Playing, we'll give you a $5 discount on one of the games that you. So we'll give both of you a $5 discount if on your first game with us or your next game with us. Just let us know when you sign up for the game, and we'll credit you that. Next week, we'll just do a giveaway for a free session.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Which is what we did last time. So we'll do that again, but next week.
On Monday, we're going to go live with another session of DC20.
Yeah. As long as people don't join the beginner box game for next Monday, or we could put that up for the following Monday. Yep.
All right.
Oh, you know what? There is another thing that might no.
There's always one more.
No, there always is, and also I should throw out a thank you to Allie sitting behind the computer screen at the moment, handling the chat and all of the technological aspects of making this happen.
I would just like to say that you didn't even know our internet went down, and I had to switch over to the phone internet.
And a thank you again to Mike for coming out and doing this stream.
I noticed all of the questions. If you want to have me again, just to like maybe do something more refined, I'm fine for that.
When you're 3 glyph.
Um,
Th- if I'm running every Thursday, it would be sometime in August.
There you go.
So the first thing that somebody would have to do to join society, they would need to go to paizo.com,
Mhm.
sign up for
register an account there, and one of the tabs will be for organized play, and it will prompt either to generate a new one, or if they were assigned one like during a convention, there would be like a code, and you would be given that organized play number, as well as all of the credit that you've gotten when you were at the convention, when you didn't even have a Paizo account.
Yeah, okay.
Like I think I showed you like how that worked when you were GMing at Epicon.
Yep. And then once you have your account, you can register as many characters as you want.
Yeah. There's no limit.
So I think just to throw this out to anybody watching live or in the future, one thing that an aspiring Pathfinder Society GM specifically might benefit from is maybe a tutorial or a walkthrough of what that looks like as far as chronicle sheets, how to record a session. Do you think?
Okay.
Do you think maybe in the future, if people are interested in that, we could do a tutorial on that?
Sure.
Cool. So if you guys are interested in a more in-depth look at even like maybe signing up, creating characters, generating Paizo number, just let us know in the description, and we can make that happen.
They can't touch our
Okay. All right. So any I guess we could start with Mike. Any plugs that you want? Any final thoughts?
No, not at this moment, and thank you for having me on. It was kind of anxiety coming, but it was a cool experience, and thank you for having me.
Cool. And so this is Gary with Roll With Us, Allie with Roll With Us behind the computer on the other side. We run games on startplaying.games or startplaying.gaming. I always mess that up. Games. Startplaying.games. We have Pathfinder 2nd Edition, DC 20 by the Dungeon Coach, D&D 5th Edition, Call of Cthulhu, Aliens, and I am capable of running Monster of the Week if you would like. If you'd like to see that, leave that in the comments, and I'll try to get something Monster of the Week up. Any final thoughts, Allie?
I mean, I've been a member of the Roll With Us community on Discord for a year and 3 months now.
It's been wonderful having you. Parting thoughts, Allie? Or just ending the stream?
So I had technical difficulties. We lost internet. So the first half of this stream will be called part 1, and the second part of this stream will be called part 2. Sorry about that. Yeah. Unfortunately, I have no control over, the internet.
But amazingly, we didn't recognize it on our end. So
Say goodnight, folks.
Good night, folks.